Yo, diggity dog, I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. And today we're taking a look at Dog Lover, a canine card game. I'm going to teach you how to play, and then we will come back for our final thoughts. Dog Lover is a card game designed by David Short and published by AEG. Plays 2 to 4 players in approximately 30 minutes. Okay, so in Dog Lover, the way that you win is to score the most victory points. And the way that you do that is when the game is ending, card pops up in the deck, you finish your turns, and then you score your fed dogs, plus attached and tucked cards, your unfed dogs, which are -2 victory points, and then you score your favorite things and bones that are left in your hand. At the start of the game, the first player gets the guard dog, and they can place the guard dog on any row or column that they like. The last player is going to get the fetch card. So they're allowed to keep this card until they want to trade it for one card in the grid. Each player is going to start with a standard trick card and a starting dog. I'm going to show you what a typical turn looks like. So during your turn, you're able to take cards from the grid and play or tuck cards. So for example, we have this as a standard trick. So you're going to be able to take 3 cards, and you can flip it however you'd like, but you can take 3 cards from the grid. You can flip it, but you cannot mirror any of the tricks, depending on where the guard dog is at though. So he can block you from getting certain cards. So for example, this trick card, if I decided that I wanted to take from this row, I wouldn't be able to take more than 1 card from the row because the guard dog is there. So I can only take 1 card if I were to choose this row. Obviously I can choose other ones, but he does block you from getting certain cards. So in order to score points, you're going to be attaching cards such as like a trait card to the dogs, which will help you score extra points. So this is a trait card. There's also special cards like walk cards. There are bones that you can score if you keep them in your hand. And then there's also favorite things. So there's balls and other stuff that dogs like, so you can score those at the end of the game. These training cards are used to obtain upgraded tricks. So from this column over here, you can get any of these tricks. You just have to trade in your training cards according to whatever the cost is. And then you have adoption cards, which those allow you to adopt dogs from the rescue shelter over on the right-hand side. So you're feeding your dogs based on there's scraps, there's canned food, there's also dry bits. So the cubes are going to be your food, and then the black is a wild. So you have to make sure that you're able to feed your dogs at the end of your turn, otherwise you can't score them. And then also, like I said earlier, there are -2 points for each dog that you can't feed. I also wanted to add that when you do take your turn and you have your trick cards, the guard dog is going to move wherever that star is at. So at the end of your turn, you're going to move him where the star is at, and that'll prevent the next player from being able to take more than 1 from that row. So all the players keep going around until this card pops up. So once this pops up, everybody takes the same amount of turns, and then you score your points, and then the game is over. And that is how you play Dog Lover.
All right. Well, thanks, Sam, for teaching us how to play. So let's jump right in. This was a game that I remember seeing briefly at Gen Con last year. And I know it was something Samantha was super excited about because it has dogs in it.
Yes.
Samantha is much, well, I don't know. This is going to be interesting because your number one game is about cats, but your number one pet is dogs.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that
So
falls
conflicting.
later on. But anyway, with that being said, Samantha loves dogs, and I had an opportunity to pick this one up not too long ago at a local game store, and I had to get it because I knew it was something that she'd really enjoy.
It's a game called Dog Lover, and if I
Right.
didn't own that game, like, who would I be?
It might as well have just been named Samantha.
Yeah, pretty much. It's true.
Right. And so when we got this game, it was really interesting, and kind of going through the cards. It was really, I like the artwork and everything.
It's
but
so cute.
what was like your initial thoughts and everything when we first got into the game?
My initial thoughts were, I loved the play on words with the dog names.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I thought it was super cute what they named the dogs. They took into account like what dogs looked like what you would name that dog. You know,
Tripod for the three-legged dog?
Or like Taco for like the little Chihuahua. Like I feel like they really thought it out.
Who's your favorite in the game? I already know who mine is.
Man.
Do you have one? I'll tell you who mine is. Mine was Mario Andretti, the one that had the wheels.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There's little handicapped dogs in it. I feel like that is just they're rooting for the handicapped
They're
dogs.
represented, which is really nice.
Yes.
You got to cover all.
They're not your basic
genre.
like Spot and Max and like all the basic.
There's
like,
one
dog
named
names.
Al. I mean,
Right, but that's like the only. But I don't know. It was like their personalities lined up. I can't even think of my favorite dog, to be honest.
That's true. That was a difficult question to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I really would have to look at all of them, but I did like the Mario Andretti one.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
Yeah, and so I really like the art in this game. Like you said, I feel like the names went well with the pictures of the animals. Now, this is very similar to a game called Cat Lady, which we have not played because Samantha would much rather play as a dog person.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it,
Right.
but we just haven't played it.
So I haven't played it. I know somewhat about Cat Lady, and so I like that this one. I believe the Cat Lady doesn't have like the tricks. So Dog Lover has like the trick cards where you can take different patterns of cards from the grid,
Right.
which is really interesting. But what are some of your positives for this game?
Well, I like the fact that it is like an easy card game to set up. Very easy to set up. I love the artwork. I think the artwork is really nice. I like that you can also build up your points with the dog. So it's like you're not just getting a dog and then you score points, but there's a strategic way of doing it. So there is some strategy to the game. It's not just like something that's just like, oh, I'll throw it out there. It's super easy. Whatever, you score your dogs, you feed them, whatever. But it is very strategic in the way that you have to match your dogs with certain cards and things like that. They have like best friend or like dirt monster or something, and so you have to match it with a specific dog. And so
The traits,
I like the traits, the different tricks you can do, different items. I just feel like there's a lot to the game in a small box.
Right, yeah. It does add some nice level of strategy on it just being a little card game.
Yeah.
Trying to get those traits matched up with the right kind of dog, getting the things that they want, taking them on a walk, training them, getting those trick cards, even gathering those adoption cards in order to rescue those other dogs that you have there, and trying to do the set collection with the favorite items, which is really cool. And then also, that anxiety that I like in games of, I gotta feed these dogs because I don't want negative points.
Yeah, the last time we played, I adopted like a ton of dogs, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough food to feed all these. And so by just luck, I was able to get the food I needed, but like, it's something you have to think about and there are, like if you do pick up the trait cards, you have to be able to actually like match that with a dog, because if you don't, it's like lose 2 food, lose a dog. Like you do lose things if you just randomly pick those trait cards up.
Right. Or if you find yourself in a position to where you have to take something you don't want because there's other things that you really do want.
Yeah.
And I like that, you're kind of moving that guard dog around and be like, well, you can only get 1 from this row or 1 from this column. You can't take more than 1. And that can really mess with maybe which trick you play when you're drafting these cards.
Right.
Now you brought up a good point when we're kind of thinking about negatives, is that luck I feel like does play a big part in this game, because the cards I need might not come out on my turn. And then if they come up, it's hard to kind of plan ahead of time, especially if you're playing, maybe you can plan a little bit in a 2-player game, but if you're playing more than that, the grid is going to look very different by the time it comes back around to you. And so you really kind of hoping, like, I need a very specific kind of food to come out on my turn, and if it doesn't,
well, and the guard dog is moving every turn too, so then he might block you from wherever you want to go, and that's happened, you know, where you're like, aw, like I can't go there because he's there.
Right, so you have that luck, which can be a little frustrating. I have found that in my time when Samantha loves to hoard food, and I'm like, I need to feed my dogs, and you're sitting over there with 8 cubes. I need that food, and you're just wasting it.
I gotta make sure I can feed them, though.
I know. Your dogs are gonna get fat. Mine are gonna starve to death.
It's true, though.
Who loves dogs if they're gonna let mine starve?
I would share
I'm just kidding. But anyway, there is a good fair bit of luck that comes into play, which does bother me when it comes to this game. I should say also, I didn't mention this, but I do like the fetch card, to where you can kind of draft an additional card, which is nice. But as soon as that fetch card's out there, I'm like, oh, I want it. I want the fetch card. I don't want anybody else to take it, because I want to have that. I want to have that power. Just hold on to it so that when I really need it, I can use it.
Yeah.
One thing I do really like are those trick cards. I like that I can get something other than just a row or a column. I can get some other kind of shape and really kind of play around with that by using those training cards. But then you have that dilemma of like, ooh, do I want to use these training cards to get a skill? Or do I want to tuck them behind dogs and get extra points? Right? And so
you have to make that decision.
Right. And so there is some nice meaty decisions there when it comes to the game. And so I really like that. So looking at it overall, you know, I think the production was very good. You know, it is just a cards. The one thing that I do have a gripe about when it comes to the production are the cubes. And the reason is because you have like an orange, and then you have like the red, and you have the blue, right? And they're cubes. There are times if I were to get the food and I set it off to the side because maybe I'm not using it right away, or I don't have somebody that takes that food, because I like to put them on the dogs when I know, okay, I'm definitely putting these here. Just remind me, don't lose these. You need them to feed this dog. But if I have gotten some and they're off to the side, and I'm like, oh, is that the bowl of food, or is that the scraps between the orange and the red?
The colors are really
and which
close.
one is? Yeah, and I was like, I don't remember if the scraps is this color or that's that color, unless I'm going to go look through the discard. I don't know. If they were just like little shapes, like a little can for blue, maybe an apple core for scraps, or it was in the shape of a bowl or something for the other one. I would have liked that.
Or just a slightly like darker color. Just like a little difference in the colors.
Yeah, I mean, you're already doing wooden cubes. Just make them into a shape.
Yeah, I feel like they're just, the colors are, the red and the orange are just really close to
right, and when I'm looking at the pictures, I'm like, is the red bowl mean it's the red cube?
Yeah, it's kind of
Or is it the red apple? I don't know. And so there is that. I kind of wish it had just had a shape, and it would have been a little bit easier to identify when I'm spending them. So those are kind of my negatives. You know, I have that luck. And you have that whole issue with the food, and maybe that's just me. I don't know. That was my experience playing it. But those are my negatives. Did you have any negatives for the game?
I was actually about to say that with the cubes.
Okay.
Like, it just being hard to distinguish, you know, because even though, like, we've played it, I was like, wait, which one's which? Like, I feel like that's just kind of confusing.
Right. And that's why I try to assign them as soon as I can. That way I don't get mixed up.
Yeah.
But
and the luck component does kind of suck, you know, because they're, you know, when it comes to your turn, you might be like, aw,
you took what I needed.
You took what I needed, or what I have out there, I don't really want anything, or, you know, whatever. So there is some luck to it, and that does kind of suck sometimes.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to our final score. What would you give this game as your final score?
Oh,
and how heavily does the fact that it's dogs weigh into this score?
So I can't even though I love the theme, and I'm all about theme, and I love dogs and everything, I have to think of it a game as a whole, right? So I'm like, okay, theme is really important to me, but I would say, you know, I love the gameplay too. Obviously, I'm like, I mean, it's cards. It's a card game. So, I would say I would give it like a solid like 8.8.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is so high. How much? Because it's a dog game.
Oh, but
2-3 points.
I could have gave it a 9, but I didn't.
How much of it is it because it's a dog game? I'm just curious.
That plays a huge role because I'm into theme.
Like a third of the score?
No. I
kidding.
think it's super cute. Like
Wow.
I like
8.8. I don't want to
8.8.
question. I was just curious.
But I'm just thinking it's very well thought out. Like I feel like the game is very thought out.
It's Cat Lady, but with dogs.
Yeah, I just
There's
the
slight
tricks.
variation.
So like the tricks, like that to me, that is so brilliant. I don't know, like, and then just the way that you can score points. Like there's so many different ways to score points.
Hear that, David Short? You're brilliant.
You are brilliant. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll bring us back down to earth a little bit. So if you like dogs, and Samantha's probably the one you want to go with the score. This is a very simple game. Very easy to teach. I think you can easily teach this in 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Very simple. Easy
I like
to set up.
It's easy to learn.
setup. Easy tear down. Really not much to it. Like I said, I mentioned the luck really does play a big role for me, and so I will play it. It's not one that I'm going to go to all the time. So for me, this is going to be probably I'm going to give it. I was going to say a little lower. I'm going to say a 6.8. So I'm going to say I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good game.
You're a tough critic, though.
It would be higher if it wasn't. I don't like luck in my games.
Yeah.
And if there was a way to kind of mitigate that a little bit, that might be nice. And maybe I don't know. But for me, it's right above. Like, this is pretty nice. I like it. I think it's a decent game. The luck does bring it down for me. I enjoy the theme. I enjoy the art. The cubes kind of throw me off. So yeah, I'm sitting at a 6.8 for this one. Yeah, that's my thoughts. I figured I'd kind of bring it back down. If you want to say 7, go for it. But it's like 6.8. It's right
But
there.
you know what? I'm comparing it to other games I've gave like an 8 or an 8.5, and I'm like, but I like this one about the same
fine.
or a little bit more. So
Right. I think the amount of time that you put into learning the game and getting it on the board, I do enjoy it, and it is worth the time that you invest into it, right? I think the overall the production is fine. Like I said about the cubes, gameplay is fine. Luck does play a big part of it, but so that's how I kind of land on that 6.8. Those are like my parameters. When I'm looking at how I want to score, those are the things that I'm
your
looking
parameters.
at. Right.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah. So that is my final score and Samantha's final score for Dog Lover. So do you prefer, if you've played Dog Lover or if you've played Cat Lady, which one do you prefer more over the other? Is one more enjoyable because cats or dogs, or less enjoyable because it's cats or dogs? Let us know. I'd be kind of curious just to see how much that might impact other people wanting to play the game. So let us know in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
See ya. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Oh, it's the wrong game.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Hey, all you cool puppies and...
Hey, all you cool pups and pups.
Pups and puppies?
Pups and puppies.
All right.
Should do it. Okay. All right.
Here, let me sit up. Go ahead.
God, I feel like
Hey, all you cool dogs and doggies.
Oh, God. All right.
Are you want me to thank you?
Yeah, thank me.